Let's go ahead and check out problem number 4 here. We're going to use the length of one side. Now to do this one, we're going to have to look at a different theorem. It's called the 30, 60, 90. And you notice all these theorems, these special right triangle theorems, all add up to 180, right? Because that's what makes a triangle. So this is the 30, 60, 90 triangle theorem. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at that theorem real quick. So what this says, there's a special relationship between the three sides. Whatever side is opposite of the 30-degree angle, that is called the short side. Okay, that's the short side. The one across from the 60, that one is called the long side. And then across from the 90, that's your hypotenuse, right? So that's the hypotenuse. So it says they have this special relationship. So if I know what the short leg is across from the 30, all I have to do is multiply that by square root 3, and I will get the long leg. Okay? If I know the hypotenuse, then all I have to do, if I have the hypotenuse, all I have to do is times that. If I know the hypotenuse, so there's a few different ways to write this. So if I know the hypotenuse, all I have to do is take that hypotenuse and divide it by 2, and I get my short leg. Or if I know my short leg, if I times that by 2, I will get the hypotenuse. So that's why if I take the hypotenuse and divide it by 2, I get the short leg. Okay, so there's lots of different ways to kind of look at this one. It depends on what you're given. So if you start out with the hypotenuse, you can divide that by 2 to get the short leg, and then you take that short leg and multiply it by root 3 to get to the long leg. Okay, if you start with the short leg, you can times that by 2 to get to the hypotenuse, and then you can take the short leg and multiply by root 3 to get to the long leg. Either one of these two, either if you start with the hypotenuse and find the other two, or if you start with the short leg and you find the other two, those are the easier ones. The harder one is when you, depending on what number you're given, is if you start with the long leg. So if you're given the long leg, what you have to do is you have to go backwards. So to get to the long leg, if we had our short leg, we would take our short leg times by root 3. So if I want to go backwards, that means I have to take my long leg and divide it by root 3 to get to my short, which there's a long process there. It's kind of like when we divided by root 2 on our 45. So this one I would have to divide by 3 and then multiply by root 3 if I'm given a whole number to get to my short leg. So either these two are the same. So if you're given some type of root, you would use this one. If you're given a whole number, you would use this one. Okay, and then once you have your short leg, then all you have to do is just multiply by 2 to get to the hypotenuse. So if you're given the long leg, this part right here to get to the short leg is a little bit tricky because you're dealing with dividing by square root 3, which is the same as dividing by 3 and multiplying by root 3. Okay, so it just depends on what type of number you get for your long leg. If it's a root, you do this top one. If it's a whole number, you do this one. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and practice this because this one's probably a little confusing because there's more steps. All right, so here, if I'm asked to find the value of D, I'm asked to find D, you'll be asked to find F. So what is F? Think about that, why we do this one. Okay, so across, I have 5 here. That is across from the 60, so that is the long leg. So long is 5, and I want to get D, and D is across from the 30, so that means D is the short leg. So if I'm given the long leg, I can divide that by root 3 and get my short leg. See, here's the complicated part, right? Especially if I want to keep it in simplest radical form, I can't type that in my calculator. If they ask me to round to something, then yeah, I can type that in my calculator. So I want to do it this way because this is a whole number. So divide by 3 and then multiply by root 3. and there's my short leg. So I can't simplify this fraction, so I leave it as a fraction. So there's my answer for the short leg, which is not short leg as S, is D, right? D is the short leg. You're asked to find F. So once you have a short leg, can you find F? So you do that one.